Our lives are a string of insights, flashes of inspiration that can be the catalyst for new ideas. However, our pace of life these days means we tend to miss some of them completely. I'm Dave Hill, and I'm the host of the Simple Reflections podcast, a fortnightly series of interviews with people from all walks of life. Our conversations are an invitation to reflect on some of the simple insights my guests have had that have gone on to have a profound impact on their lives. So grab a cuppa and a biscuit, join us, slow down for a little while and see what shows up for you. Well, welcome to the next episode of the Simple Reflections podcast. Today I'm joined by a lovely lady called Mavis Karn. Mavis is a counsellor, educator and consultant based in St. Paul's, Minnesota. And she's been working in this area for about 45 years, working with a real wide breadth of people. But actually the interesting bit is all of them are people. And that's the bit that she's been trying to draw out of them and help them along the way. I have only literally just met Mavis. This is the first time we've been speaking. But I was introduced to her in one of the previous episodes with Bill Pettit. And Bill mentioned Mavis's book, which is called It's That Simple, A User's Manual for Human Beings. And I love it. It's absolutely amazing. It's a very easy read. It's very gentle in the way it does stuff, but it's full of profound little moments for me. And I'm planning on using it with some of the veterans groups that I'm working with. And Mavis has very kindly given me permission to do that. So thank you so much and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. We're going to have a good time.
I think we are. It's got that vibe. The starting point in the book is a letter that you wrote a number of years ago to a bunch of teenage boys in a juvenile detention centre that you were just about to finish a project with, and you wanted to leave them with something to keep them going, I suppose, for want of a better word. And that sort of touched quite a few hearts over the years and spread its way around the world, and it's the starting point of the book. And I just wondered, given that was the sort of start, the sort of kernel of the start of the book, what you found so enriching in that, in that environment, working with young men that were basically up against it, almost been written off by society before they'd even started.
Well, it came apart when, I don't know if you know what the Super Bowl is, in big football thing. And we had that in Minneapolis. And I had, right the day before, soon before, I had read an article about the number of kids involved in gangs that have been just killing each other. And I just, I knew that was going on, but for some reason or other, that day, it just about broke my heart. I couldn't stand it. And I knew that what I knew and taught people could help that problem, but I didn't know how to go about it. And I'm a kind of big sports fan. And so I noticed in some of the articles about the Super Bowl that there was a ex-pro football player that had started a small little agency in the middle of gang territory and to help kids. And I thought, all right, as soon as the Super Bowl thing is over, I'm calling him. Awesome. So I did, and he brought a friend along to meet me for breakfast, and I told him what I would like to teach these kids, and they went, okay. and we started teaching. We started some after school thing, teaching kids there. And then that grew into this prison project. It took us forever to get the prison to let us come, but because they have all kinds of kind of do-gooders that want to come in there, and they're just picky, I guess. So they finally let us come, and it wasn't that it was like this immediate success, because they didn't have, those kids had no interest in hanging out with me. Mm-hmm. The only reason they signed up for the class is that they got out of housework. If they, didn't have to do dishes and clean and so forth. It wasn't because I was there, but they got over it, and they started listening. And what I saw is what I knew I was going to see. Actually, is just some beautiful children who had no idea how well they were made.
Mm-hmm.
No idea. They believed every thought they thought, acted on it. And because some of those thoughts were not the smartest things in the world, they were getting in trouble all the time, which is why they were in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down every Sunday. It was about an hour south of my home. I drove down there every Sunday for 2 years. And I started thinking about it as going to church. But it was like that. It was going in and just talking to who they really were, not what they'd done, who they thought they were. And it really is as simple as that. If you have love and respect for people, and you have their permission to tell them a thing or two, usually works out pretty well. And whether it's in the work that I do or in any relationship, it works pretty well if you just do that.
Yeah, it's a lovely starting point, isn't it?
It is.
Oh yeah, you're another human being. Cool, you're part of my club. Let's see where we go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't let them define what's going on. You just stick to what you know. And I wasn't trying to change them. Wasn't trying to fix them. I didn't see them as broken, for one thing. So that lets me out of trying to fix them. But I knew there was nothing wrong with them. But at first, I was the only one that knew that. They didn't. And it didn't take them long, though. The lovely part about that program was it didn't take very long for quite a few of them to just see what I was talking about. And they would help me then with the new kids that came in. Because most of the time, the new kids, when they came in with this like attitude that they're going to show me what, tough guys.
Yeah.
I never had to handle that. The original kids did. They would take them aside and say, "We don't do that here." And I didn't even know that at first. But I think that's just kind of a natural outcome of kids learning who they are. They can see who they used to be and go, "No, that's not going to work."
Yeah, and it's not as if you needed to ask them to do that. They just knew that was going to be helpful. It wasn't that the new kids needed to be told off. It was just no, that's not how it works. Just be open, be curious, see what shows up, give it some time.
Yeah, they were great. Did I answer your question? I forgot what the question was.
I think I did too. So yes, let's say yes. I think you did. No, you definitely answered the question.
Go.
No, that was beautiful. How given the stuff that you were learning with these young men, did you find that there were parallels between the other work that you were doing and that the lessons that you were seeing between these various different groups would help each other out, even though the content of the experience was very different? Did you find that there was some sort of cross-pollination by taking ideas in different directions?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but what I mean by that is that Everybody is made of the same stuff. Everybody is divinely engineered and made of the same exact substance as everything else in creation. One of my favorite teachers that I never met was the scientist Carl Sagan, who I just loved to listen to him because he was so excited about how everything was. I remember him talking about how, and I think this is in the book someplace, how we are made of the same thing as stars and planets and grass and sand and everything. Everything is made of the same substance, except in different configurations.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we're made of stardust. And I just love that.
Yeah.
It's a little simplistic, but behind it is the truth.
Yeah.
That everybody is made of the same thing, except in different configurations. So no matter who I'm talking to, whether they speak my same language, whether they have the same skin color or the same origins or whatever, we are all part of the same whole. And there is nothing wrong with any of us. We are made of stardust.
Yeah.
We are made of intelligent energy that is the source of all life. And that's not just some nice thing you can embroider on a pillow. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. And if you just know that, there's nothing to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
People either know that that's who they are or they don't. So there's no diagnosis except that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You either know how well you're made. You either know that you're the author of your own experience of life, or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, could you explain a little bit more about you're the author of your own experience piece? Could you?
Well, we are made so well that we are given the gift of thought so that we can experience life. And in addition to that, we were given sensation that lets us know the quality of the thinking we're doing, so that we can see when we're misusing the tool or using it in the way that it was meant to be used. Now that is smart.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I don't know who thought that up.
An inbuilt feedback system. Perfect.
That is awesome. And if we know that, then we know when we can trust our thinking and when not to, because we can feel the quality of it. It's that simple. There is nothing to figure out. We don't have to go back into the past and find out who did what to whom and how many times and why. And we don't have to analyze and process. And we just need to know every little thing is all right. We're made the way we were meant to be made. There is only one of us. It's like, just think, I know you know all this, but just think about this. It's like every single thing in form is made of the same substance, including human beings, but there are no duplicates of anything. There are no exact duplicates of a blade of grass or of a human being. Even identical twins, they're not duplicates.
Mm-hmm.
They're similar. I don't know about you, but I trust an intelligence that can pull that off.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, who can ever explain that? The magnificence of that. We need to see that we are a magnificent, ordinary part of that magnificence.
Yep.
That's who we are.
Yeah, the uniqueness of us is a wonderful thing, and that we don't need to worry about that. There's
If you
not a
want to,
problem.
though, because we have free will,
Mm.
we can misuse the gift of thought and drive ourselves crazy if we want,
Yeah,
and feel it when we're doing it.
yeah.
So we're not going to get away with it and still feel good. That's
Um,
that's love. That's the guidance of creation. It's just science. It's everything is science.
mhm.
It's a This is a divine science. There are no flaws in it.
Yeah, the our capacity to create theory is and use thought to do that is fantastic, and to try and understand things is great. But we can get caught up in thinking that the theories we've created are true, when actually they're a representation of what we understand at this moment in time. And you mentioned Carl Sagan. It sounds like he has a curious mind, and he knows what he knows is right for what he knows right now, but there's more to it than he can see. And as a result of that, boom, what next? Okay, I've this looks about right. It stacks up. The maths works. It fits with what my colleagues are saying, but still there's some bits at the edges that don't quite make sense yet. Let's go explore. Let's go exploring there, because that's when things become clearer. And the if you're just looking at physics, there's the big stuff and there's the little stuff. They're two very well known theories. There's the Einstein one and there's the quantum physics one, and they're both right for what they know, but they don't meet in the middle. There isn't the crossover, so they know they're both wrong to a degree.
Mhm.
They're as good as we can get it for now, but there's a bit in the middle, because if it didn't join up seamlessly, then the universe wouldn't be doing what it does now. Things would be flying off in different directions. That doesn't happen. So it's a good working hypothesis for the moment. It's better than we've ever had before. There's more to learn, and that more to learn is the bit that you've been talking to, the fact that it is perfect by design from the start, and we don't need to worry about it because it's been doing it without us interfering.
It's I think it would be nice for us all to know that um, being able to explain something is really different than understanding it.
Yeah.
That you can understand things without ever being able to explain them to yourself or anyone else. But you always want to start with understanding. You just And you always want to, at least I think, you always want to be open to knowing what you don't know yet, to see
Mm-hmm.
what you don't know. Like we came into the world doing that. That is just a built-in app of wonder. Of how does this work? And what is this? It's like a perfect picture of that in motion is any little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Always wants to know, what is this?
Yeah. How does it work?
Let's try this. I'm going to take this apart and see what happens.
Yeah.
And we lose that because we start getting these rigid ideas about how something is, and we stick to that. We make these rules about how to do this and how to do that, and what this is and what that is. And then we miss the possibilities that are all over the place.
Yeah.
But, one of the things that I think people want to, when they understand a certain amount about how we're made, they think the goal is to be happy all the time. I mean, that'd be great. Happy is good. I like
Mm-hmm.
it. But if I had to choose between happy and calm and clear, I'd choose calm and clear, because that's where all the good stuff is. That's where That's where insight thrives. That's where you see in. And when you see in, you see your own built-in wisdom and common sense that has absolutely nothing to do with your intellectual personality. It's what you know. It's where you can know things that didn't come from your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You can receive information that didn't come from your brain. You came to it because you were clear and there was a room for it. That's where I like living.
Sounds pretty good to me. Sounds pretty good. You mentioned before we started recording that you chatted to a veteran in the past, and that you haven't seen him since, but you know he's up to good stuff. I just wondered if you could sort of reiterate that story in a better way than I have just there.
Well, I've seen quite a few men and women that experience things I hope I never have to experience, but they did it for us. And I just remember this one guy. And I think it happened because I was talking about memory.
Mm-hmm.
That memory is just everything that every second we've lived is stored in this cabbage-looking thing inside our skull. Isn't that amazing?
I know.
You go, where is memory in there? It looks yucky looking thing. Anyway, nonetheless, that's what it is. It's every second we've ever lived is stored in there. But our memory cannot hurt us without our permission. It cannot. It is a stored thought with no power of its own. It has only the power we give it with our attachment or our belief or our attention. By itself, it has no power. And that's a good thing because it's all stored there. And if I want to retell something in service to myself or someone else, I can do that. Or if I want to relive something, I can. Or if I just want to leave it stored, I can. The memory itself doesn't get to decide what I do with it. But if we don't know that, then we're at the mercy of our memory. I, for instance, my first child died. He had a hole in his heart, and at the time there was nothing that could be done about that. Now that was a long, long time ago, but I remember it. It's obviously I remember that.
Yeah.
What I don't do is re-experience it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's going to be of service to somebody, I will retell it like I'm doing now in service of what I'm trying to get across. But I didn't used to know that reliving it was optional. I didn't know that that was a choice I could make or not make.
Mm-hmm. And
that's what this vet heard. That's what he heard, that he had been, this is not going to be any news to you, but he had been afraid to go to sleep at night because he didn't want to have that continuing god-awful dream.
Mm-hmm.
So he tried to stay awake and eventually couldn't. And sure enough, the dream would come. But things would happen during the day too. He would react and you hear loud noises and just get ready to fight and lots of stuff. Anyway, he heard that thing about memory and he just lit up. And I know that you in your work have, when you pass on the information about who we really are and how we're made, you have probably had experiences where you saw people's light go on.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen them change colour, go from a sort of
Right.
shabby grey to a nice pink or whatever.
It does. We didn't get to watch ourselves have that, but we could feel it. It was like you saw something that was the absolute truth and you lit up. And that's what happened to him. And I only saw him that one time. And he just said he was going to go out and volunteer at the vet's hospital and tell everybody this. And as far as I know, that's what he did.
That's cool.
Which is the power of one person understanding how he's made. Every relationship and interaction he has from that moment on is on higher ground, even if just one person is on higher ground. And it doesn't mean you have to explain how we're made. Your whole feeling changes. You become who you actually are.
Yeah.
Just let go of everything that isn't you. Fears and obsessions and isms, racisms or whatever. You let go of everything that isn't you. And what remains is who you always were. It's not rocket science. There isn't anything that's ever happened to us that gets to decide how we feel now. That's up to us.
Yeah, when life feels complicated, we've got into the habit of looking for complicated solutions because a complicated problem must have a complicated solution. And the reality of it is when we know something, when we see it for the truth of it, it feels simple. And that is a great thing to know because it just opens up possibility, opens up that curiosity again, going, okay, this feels complicated at the moment. There's something I'm not seeing at the moment. That's okay. That's okay.
Everything's temporary.
Yeah.
So whether we're puzzled or enlightened, it's this thing about enlightened. I got to tell you this one.
Yeah, go for it. Please do.
I was reading an article by a woman who had written a book about the Buddha. And I like the whole thing, but there's this one thing in it. She said that, she said, the Buddha said enlightenment is our natural state, everyone's natural state. And all our problems and suffering occur because we don't know that. It's that simple. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that lighting up that we've both witnessed in other people is that, that's why it's enlightened, isn't it? That's the energy of us just going, yep, here I am. It was there before.
Light is always there.
Yeah.
Light is always there. It's just that we put these heavy blankets of overthinking everything and worry and fear and anxiety and low self-worth and unkindness and hatred. Those heavy blankets of thought keep us from experiencing the light that's buried underneath there. It's still on. It hasn't gone out. We've just got so much stuff on top of it, we can't experience it.
Yeah.
But we can notice the heaviness of that and let go. We can see all of that stuff is just thought. It's just illusions. It's just habits of thinking that aren't in service to us or anyone else. It's nothing. It's smoke and mirrors. Be still. And you'll be home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Yeah, being able to trust that and trust the truth of that when it feels everything other than that.
And I forget.
Yeah.
I'm 83 years old now, and that's old. It didn't take long to get here, though. I thought it would take longer than that. But it's and I've known how my mind works and how everyone's mind worked for 45 years now. And I periodically will still forget. Not for long, because I can't tolerate it. It just feels too bad. But I don't see anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just a human being that mostly remembers that I and everybody else is a big deal. But sometimes I forget.
That's a lovely way of looking at it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I trip. Sometimes I drop something and break it. So,
Yeah.
it's just temporary. I'll clean it up. I'll remember.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to look at it. Mavis, it's been lovely to chat to you today. I don't know if you've got anything, any projects and things that you've got going on in the world at the moment that you would like to share with people. I can put links in the blurb to the podcast. But if there's anything you want to tell people about, here's an opportunity for that.
Well, I think mostly, I had to be dragged into writing that little book. My friend Michael Neal, we've been buddies for I don't know how long. Anyway, he was trying to get me to write a book. And I said, Michael, you're the book writer. You think it's a piece of cake. I do not. I don't have that much to say. I couldn't fill a book. And he was about ready after I don't know how many years of giving up on me. And one day he said, why don't you just write letters? And I went, oh, well, okay, I can write letters. So why didn't you say that before? I could write it. So that's what we did. And I mentioned I'm 83, and I would like, I'm going to keep passing this on as long as I can, because it's my favorite thing to do. But there's going to be a time, probably not too long from now, when I won't be around. But I would like that book to get wings. I would like everybody to know what's in that book. And I would like everybody that's trying to get everybody else to know to use it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, you called me about it. You don't have to call me about it. Just, it's out there now. I don't want to hold on to it so tight that people can't get it. It's got a life of its own. And I hope it gets to it. Like, I wish I could get it to every teenager on the planet. Mm-hmm. Because it would change the planet. It would save the planet.
Yeah, it is. It's, as I said at the start, it's an absolutely beautiful book. I love the fact that it's a collection of letters. I love the fact that right in the introduction, you say it's our book, yours and the readers, and it feels like that. And I love the fact that it's a bunch of letters that they are disparate, but the collection of them are stronger than their individual parts. I love the fact you can dip in and out of it in any direction that you want to. And I know it's going to be really useful for the guys that I take through it starting in September. I absolutely know. That's the plan. I plan to do a talk with them, reading a letter to them each month. And see where they want to go with that as a conversation starter.
Sweet. If I can be of any help, let me know.
That's really kind of you.
Yeah.
Mavis, thank you so much for joining me today and answering the call of a man you didn't know on the other side of the world. It's really kind of you to be here. It's been fun. It has been fun.
Here in my little room, barefoot.
I've got my socks on. It's a bit chillier here in Edinburgh.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed the conversation, feel free to subscribe and join me and my new guests next time. If you're interested in the work I'm doing, or you think I can be of service to you or your organisation, please email dave@simplicityofmind.co.uk. Remember, see if you can find time to slow down and reflect. Those simple ideas might be worth listening to. Take care, and I hope you can join me in a couple of weeks.